What has the ability to stop the Great Awakening from happening? You may have heard more and more people are waking up than ever before on the planet. Right now, the darkness is being turned into light. So many people are becoming aware that there are other things, other agendas been going on behind the scenes. And in this video, I'm going to share with you more about the Great Awakening and what can actually stop it. Welcome back to another video. My name's Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness and raise their vibration by making spirituality practical and relatable. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you more about the Great Awakening. I have a whole series of videos that I've made on the Great Awakening recently, and it's becoming, I think that people are sharing those videos so much because they feel like there's other things going on behind the scenes. Many people may be at their house right now. They may be not going out, obviously, because of a lot of stuff that's going on in the world. However, they're beginning to question reality. And because people are going down different rabbit holes, they're looking into things that maybe priorly they wouldn't have looked into because they had so many other things going on. Maybe they're busy with their 9-to-5 job and now they have more time on their hands. They're beginning to question reality more. And what the Great Awakening refers to, this term, refers to a Great Awakening where people are becoming more aware than ever before on the planet. Now, the idea behind this will sound a little bit out there if you haven't heard my other videos on the Great Awakening especially, but the Great Awakening is about us as a people becoming aware that there has been a form of a specific number of people that have been controlling a lot of the energy on the planet for a very long time. It has been happening so fluidly and so consistently that many of us aren't even aware that it's been happening. We just get up every day, we go to our jobs, we may have different things we experience in our life, but we just take kind of reality for the way that it is. That's, a lot of the way that it's been for a long time. And what is happening right now on the planet, though, is these people that have priorly had the power, because what they realize is that if they can control the narrative of the media, if they can keep people in the vibration of fear and anger, then they're much more easily able to be controlled. Plus, they're much more likely to look to authority for certainty. So that dynamic was set in place so that these people could have and attain the resources and the control. And that's something that's been happening for a long time on the planet. Now what is happening is more and more people are becoming aware and they're beginning to question reality. They're able to see that certain things have been orchestrated. Certain things have been orchestrated. A lot of times when certain things happen in our world, we think, oh my goodness, this is just by chance and this thing just happened. But what people are starting to learn is like, there's something else going on here. There's something that's just not adding up. And the Great Awakening is, I believe, why many of us are here right now. Now, if you want resources on the Great Awakening, the thing that I've been sending a lot of people to is the books, The Law of One, or the Raw Materials, The Law of One, which says that there's 5 different books on it, but it talks about how this time on the planet is about us becoming a part of what is called the harvest, which means we have the ability to move from what is called a 3rd density level of consciousness into a 4th density level of consciousness. And what that basically means is we're moving from duality, from good, bad, light, dark, from control in the ego solidification. We're moving from the 3rd chakra, which is the solar plexus, which is willpower, ego, identity. And we're moving then into the 4th chakra, which is the heart, which is connection, understanding that we're all connected. And also where it's more about vibration. Those themes become much more magical in ways. Life becomes much more fluid and time appears to be going by quicker. That's what we're moving through right now. So the old structures of 3D are falling away as we build up these new foundations of the 4D mentality. Now, what that looks like on the outside is this Great Awakening that has been happening and now is happening quicker and quicker more than ever. What is happening on the outside of that is there's a form of what I believe will happen in the future is, and is happening maybe at some levels now, is the media will begin to flip over because the media has been controlled by 6 major corporations and has had an extreme agenda of just projecting fear and a certain agenda. And what we'll find is people begin to question that more and more. They may seek out alternative news, but also in general, I believe that will have a changeover. Another thing is the elite loss of power. There's people that do very dark things behind the scenes. And I know that sounds kind of out there, but if you do the research on it, you begin to find more and more evidence of people that have come forward talking about these kind of things and then been completely either taken out or shut down, not allowed to talk about it. And there's different documentaries that talk about this too that are coming out now. There's a lot of this information just flooding out. And it's very interesting because a lot of times then those things will be kind of hard to find. Like it may come out on YouTube, it may come out somewhere, and then you really got to look for it, even though it might have like 8 million views. Now, these people, what you call the elite, they're beginning to lose their power. When we talk about somebody like, do your own research with this, but when we talk about, someone like Bill Gates or something like that, there's a certain way that it looks like on the outside, but when you start to look into it, you can even just feel the energy as well. Watch any of the interviews and you can feel something intuitively. People that are energetically sensitive can feel that there's something going on that's not what people think. They're like, oh, this is great. He's going to come out with these really cool things and it's going to help everyone. But there's more going on there. The idea, I believe, behind what's happening in the world right now is a lot of times what may happen is certain events may be orchestrated. And then as an event is orchestrated, what happens is then it puts people into a certain state, which could be fear and anger. And then people may be open to a new solution. And maybe that solution is something that this guy just so happens to conveniently be pushing forward, you see. And people are waking up though. If you go to this guy's Instagram right now, and he has 100,000 comments on his newest post, literally, if you go read the comments, you'll see like people are waking up. People know what's going on. And there's a certain narrative that's been pushed by the media about this. Like, oh, what he's providing is really, really good. But you do the research and you'll find that there's not good intentions there, and just intuitively as well. Now, the elite like that, this person, for example, is kind of a puppet for another group of individuals. And it's just playing out what he's supposed to be doing from that like puppetry. Now what is happening, those people are waking up, and even these people are beginning to lose their power as well. And the reason being is because the only reason they had the power is because so many people were just blindly going up with everything that's happening. Now, something I found interesting recently, I don't know if you guys know who Logan Paul is, but he's like a vlogger. There was some controversy with him years ago, but he's definitely more in like the entertainment space than anything else. And he has lots of podcasts. And what I found was interesting is I saw a video the other day when I was in my sauna, or in the sauna, and I was watching, and they were talking about how they watched a documentary called Out of the Shadows, which is a documentary on YouTube that came out. And it's got like 8 million views, but it's crazy because what it does is it talks about the darkness into the light in a way. It reveals a lot of things. And I'll tell you right now that if you watch it, maybe sage yourself afterwards. It's kind of darker stuff, but it reveals a lot about some of how the CIA infiltrated that of Hollywood back in the day, how they even came up with the term conspiracy theory to keep people from going down different rabbit holes, and also how that's controlled the belief system of so many people by controlling the entertainment that we watch. And it talks about that, plus it talks about a lot of the stuff that's happened with the kind of the darker elite people and what they do with very low vibrational activities, where that's how they kind of, tap into kind of dark magic in some ways. There's people that know that we create our own reality, and they understand the energetics behind it, and they've kept so many people in the dark, but they use it to their own advantage in some ways by influencing the collective consciousness in more negative ways. Now, that you can watch that documentary, you can find it. It's funny, he was on the podcast, Logan Paul was on his podcast and he was looking for it. It was on like the third page. It was hard for him to find that documentary, which has over 8 million views when you type in those words. Because I don't know, who knows what's happening? I'm just saying, maybe they push it down, make it hard to find. And but it's interesting because even someone like Logan Paul, for example, he on his Twitter recently has a whole video, and it's in one of his vlogs, and he has like 20 million followers, of in LA there's like a ship, there's like this ET ship, and he's kind of messing around at first, but this thing he's looking at it, it's like moving around in these weird patterns, and then all of a sudden it just completely balls up and turns into this huge ball and then disappears. And he was obviously, excited because he saw what we'd call like a UFO, and he was excited about that, and he posted about it, and then he put it in his vlog. And then they started talking about that documentary, Out of the Shadows. And then they were talking about kind of that darker, some of the stuff that I'm talking to you about right now. And even at this entertainment level, it is a very strong sign that the Great Awakening is happening. Now, let me share with you, and I just kind of wanted to share that because this is happening at many different levels. Even if it's more passively there, it's beginning to get into the surface. Now, when we talk about what can actually stop this Great Awakening from happening, what it is, what would stop it, would be, first off, the fear that people feel, and believing that fear that they feel, and being, honestly, it's also giving the power, believing that they have more power than they actually have. Even people that become aware of this after they watch that documentary, for example, they may feel disempowered. I think it's actually very empowering, because as we become aware of it, we can then choose not to give our power towards it. And what is happening is more and more people are becoming aware of, where am I going to put my energy? Am I going to put it into some darker agenda that I don't necessarily agree with? And when we talk about it over here, fear is something that we feel on the inside, but the more we become aware of it, the more we allow ourselves to feel it, then we can actually let it go. Now, the main thing that I would say would be the mix of two things that can stop it. And I believe that there's so much momentum with it that it's not likely to happen. But it's important to understand this, because then what we'll know is what we need to do or can do in order to accelerate this Great Awakening. And it has to do with, first off, not buying into the BS. Not buying into and making sure that we are questioning what is actually happening in the world. Things that we're being told. Things on the mainstream, the news and all stuff like that. As we become aware of it, and as we don't buy into things that maybe make us feel low vibration, then what we'll find is we begin to feel more free. So not buying into it is very important for this process. And that's why when I see stuff that's happening on the news and stuff like that, I'm very just aware and observant of it, but I understand there's more going on behind the scenes that maybe we're not aware of. Now, one of the things that will stop it the most, though, is understanding our own inner power. And if we neglect that inner power, if we neglect our own ability to raise our vibration, understand the outer reality is a reflection of our inner reality. And the key to this is becoming aware of that and not feeding the old paradigms, and not, which also lowers our vibration, but it's doing the inner work. The more that we transform, the more that then the world transforms. It's like that Gandhi quote where he said that you be the change you wish to see in the world. That's exactly what's happening here. When we all got together recently, it was on April 4th, there were over 1 million people all around the world doing stuff like this, doing live meditations. We did a live meditation on that day, and we meditated on shifting to the most optimal timeline, sending love and peace out into the world, and there were over 1 million people doing this meditation. And because of that, what happened is it had an effect on the Schumann resonance, which is the resonance of the planet. It went off the charts that day. You can see the chart, it's incredible. And that is a sign that we are moving towards the Great Awakening, and in this literally turning the dark into light. But what we got to become aware of is that all this is a reflection of our inner realities. As we team up, we do meditations like this, it literally is transforming the planet. I believe that there are many different timelines with this Great Awakening as well. And the only thing that will stop it, I believe, is that if we stop doing our inner work, we may find ourselves on a timeline where it's less than optimal. I believe there'll be kind of pockets of these different timelines as well. So I think the key to this is becoming aware of our own energy, doing our own inner work, letting go of what no longer serves us, clearing out our negative belief systems, BS belief systems, plus not buying into the BS of what we see going on in the world. Maybe acknowledge it, but then take our power back. So a lot of this has to do with as well, as we become aware of a lot of the hidden agendas going on in the world, I think it changes so much, because that's where a lot of people feed their energy, is unconsciously not knowing what's really going on. If you haven't seen that video yet, I have a video on the 3 hidden agendas that I believe are going on behind the scenes. That video has kind of blown up, and I think it resonates with a lot of people. You're going to click it here, also to be on the end cards as well. Other than that, let me know what you thought of this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be making more videos like this on other topics as well. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Peace, much love, and namaste.